Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pound for Pound, episode number 15. So, joining you as always, I am Philip, and I have Ben and Russ with me. How you guys doing?
Very
Doing
well.
good. How you doing,
Feeling
Phil?
super.
Not too bad. I bet you are. And so you had a pretty good weekend representing your boys. So, congratulations. I'm sure it was a pretty profitable weekend on top of an enjoyable weekend for you. So,
It was a beautiful weekend.
uh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was good for some of us, not as enjoyable for the rest of us. But with that being said, there were some fights this weekend, previous to the Super Bowl. So we'll get into those. We'll touch on those real quick. And then lots and lots of fight action coming up we'll get into as well. But before we get into all the upcoming fights, let's talk about these two fights. First and foremost, the main event of this last weekend's card, we had Alexander Volkov and Alistair Overeem, and went kind of the way that a lot of people expected. I will turn it over for you, Ben, first. I know you're a huge Overeem fan, still repping your boy. I see him there in the background. So let us know what you saw and what you see coming up next.
Forever an Overeem fan. You know this. Win or lose, he's a legend, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. But yeah, Volkov looked awesome. He used his range, just picked Overeem apart. Really, I mean, Overeem had nothing for him. Couldn't get in close, and I mean, in my opinion, Overeem should retire. He aged out. That happens to the best of them, and it's a sad day. It's a sad day to see that happen to Overeem. His one final run come to an end, but it's again, at least it's against someone cool like Volkov. Volkov's got a bright future. He's only 32, and he's looked real good. I think he's yet to hit his prime. Heavyweights don't hit their prime till maybe like 35, so he's got a real bright future, and that's a big win over a legend right there. So I'm excited to see where Volkov goes, and I hope Overeem retires because he has nothing left to prove. He could get wins like in the top 10. I think he could still beat a lot of guys in the UFC. But is it necessary? It's not necessary. So, but Volkov looked really good in conclusion. Russ?
Yeah, Volkov looked super impressive. He put on I think 15 pounds of muscle, and it showed. Like, he had more power. He Overeem puts up his shell defense and tries to let a lot of the heavyweights kind of punch themselves out a little bit. And he always is it, not always, but it's been pretty successful, that defense, shelling up and then coming out of it. But Volkov just sent uppercuts right through it and hooks and just lit him up. And Overeem looked slow, really. He looked like USADA had caught up with him, age caught up with him. And I was looking what could be next for him, because I don't know that he should retire. He won 4 out of 5 prior to this, and could have been 5 if Rosenstruck didn't land that punch. So I was thinking just maybe go to Bellator. He's fought pretty much everybody in UFC. There's not really anybody left for him to even match up with, other than the top couple dudes, which you don't want that. So go to Bellator. They got some heavyweights. You fight other older dudes and get him on an Indian reservation, get the right supplements in there. We're going to be golden here. We're going to have a rejuvenation of the career.
And for version 3.
Exactly. It could happen. And then for Volkov, I think probably the winner of Rosenstruck Gane next. Looks like a good fight for him.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think he's going to do very well against any of the strikers at heavyweight. I just fear putting him in there against a wrestler because of what happened to him against Blades. It was just so ridiculously one-sided.
Yeah. So Blades is definitely the dark horse of that division because his style is so different than everybody else's, and he's definitely looked improved. So, But yeah, I was impressed with Volkov. I think it's really his power. I think Russ touched on it. How hard it seemed like. It almost surprised Overeem how hard he hit. And it was Reem very quickly resorted to just trying to throw haymakers, I think just to maybe back Volkov off, because he was, he busted his nose up in the first couple minutes, and, it was all downhill from there. But if Volkov looks like that, he's a pretty scary dude, because he's got reach on almost everybody. And if you can hit that hard from that far away, that's bad news for most people. So it'll be interesting to see what's next. And yeah, it's interesting with guys like Overeem. I see where Ben's coming from, and I totally, I hate to see guys, go past their prime and really look bad in the last few years of their career. But when you have the resume that Overeem does and you've accomplished what he does, as long as he still wants to do it and can be competitive, like I'd like to see him. I think there's a ton of matchups, whether it's against lower ranked guys, other older guys, Bellator, whatever it may be. If he wants to be in there, fighting, it's who are we to really tell him not to? But I agree, like it's tough, especially when you're such a passionate fan for a guy, and to watch him go out time and again and you not put on his best performances and get shellacked and end up looking at the lights time and time again. And there's the 90,000 examples in the history of fighting of guys that went past their prime. And so sometimes you just for their own good, you want to see them step away before they end up going that route. So it'll be curious to see what's next for him. So, but whatever he decides, it'll again, it's tough because you always kind of, there's that little part of you that like doesn't want to like never see your favorite fighter fight again. So I get that as well. So speaking of older fighters who it wasn't their night, we'll go to the co-main event. We talked about Frankie Edgar and Sandhagen, and holy smokes, what a KO. What a finish. Russ, I'll let you walk us through this one.
Yeah, I mean, that knee was amazing. Corey has done this now twice in a row. Like, I can't remember too many fighters that have put together two crazy highlight KOs like with that sort of variety in a row, like a friggin' wheel kick and then a flying knee, like straight up flying knee. It was pretty scary for Frankie. You don't want to see him go out like that, but Corey's a bad man, and like he was sympathetic afterwards. He felt bad that it had to happen to Frankie, but like he said, better him than himself. Great finish. He's got to be the number one contender. I would wait for the title fight if I was him. Like for the winner of Aljo and Jan. He's really good. I remember, I listened to Fighter and the Kid, and I've listened to Schaub for a long time on his, and he said back when he was training, Sandhagen came into his gym and started training when he was 16 years old. And he said pretty much from like the first day he came in, they knew something was different about him. Like, and Schaub's been raving about him, from his debut. He said like, bet on this kid. So I bet on him every fight the whole way. And he's been profitable outside of the one fight against Aljo, but like they definitely think he's a future champion. He looks like it now. Looks awesome.
Yeah. Sandhagen looked incredible. That was one of the most incredible knockouts I've ever seen against Frankie, a legend of the sport. I honestly, I seen something like that coming. I think I called Sandhagen dusting him in the first or second. It was just a mismatch. It was just like a guy who's, you could say he's past his prime. Frankie's past his prime, and his chin might be gone. Can we just agree on that? If
it wasn't, it is now.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling it would be a showcase fight for Sandhagen. I think that's what the UFC wanted, and that's what they got. He's definitely the number one contender. And if he doesn't have to take another fight before the title shot, he fights the winner of Aljo Jan. Frankie should probably, like Alistair, I think Frankie should probably retire. He's got nothing left to prove. He was the champion. His chin might be gone. So get out now while before it gets too bad. Yeah, Sandhagen looked ultra impressive.
I think either way from here, it's main events exclusively for Sandhagen. Like, I think he's either getting Dillashaw or the title shot next, and either way, those are 5-round main event fights, and he's gonna be getting the paydays. So,
for sure, be
seeing a lot of them.
You couldn't look more impressive since his loss to Aljo. You couldn't look more impressive in those.
I know, and that
last two fights,
that kind of like embarrassing loss sometimes messes with people, but it did the opposite with him. He came back so violent.
Yeah, it was, something, I had to go, because again, how passionate I get about these old guys. I was pretty upset with Sandhagen, no need to do that to Frankie, but it was really impressive when you go back and watch it. And, a guy who has as much experience as Frankie, for a younger guy like Sandhagen to be able to come in and bait him into that and time it so perfectly, just shows that his fight IQ is incredibly high. And, it's he's a dangerous dude in that division. So I'll be very curious to see. I was going to mention the Dillashaw fight if you guys didn't bring it up, because I think we're still the Jan Sterling fight still a little ways out. So I think he'd be inactive for quite some time. And I think the Dillashaw fight is a big fight that could be a potential, other fight for him to take as well. And hard to turn that fight down because it'd be by far the biggest fight of his career. So
I think that Jan Aljo's in like 3 weeks. So
yeah,
pretty fine on the time frame. I think it's 259, right?
Okay.
It's the same card as Adesanya, Jan, and Nunes Spencer. Or
Yeah,
not
it's the
Spencer,
loaded
Anderson.
card.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought it was farther out. So I guess maybe he just waits for the title shot then, and then Dillashaw fights the loser of that fight possibly.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea there.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for Dillashaw because he could come back and there's a lot of people looking to fight TJ Dillashaw already. So
yeah, but I think Aljo Jan loser. That's a good idea. And then you do Sandhagen versus the winner for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a tough gig to lose a title fight and you're rewarded by having to fight TJ Dillashaw.
I know.
But when you're at the top, you don't get days off when you're in the top 5. So, but it'll also be very curious to see like what TJ Dillashaw like we get. So what type of weird stuff. He trains in that garage. What type of stuff he's been into over the last 2 years. So
is he still there?
Because
I don't know, but
we've seen people come off the juice and like their first 1 or 2, even 3 fights off the juice look bad, and then they get it going again. You know what I mean? We've seen that countless times. So we'll see what happens with Dillashaw.
He's had a long time off. Whatever he had to do to get his supplement program right, he should have everything like straightened out by now. You know what I mean? Like it's been a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it certainly wasn't like he was, because, he went from like being awesome to being like super like Dillashaw TJ, but he was really good before that. So, I don't know that he'll have, that'll have like the Johnny Hendricks effect and he'll come back and just look like a trucker out there brawling with guys.
I don't think it'll be that bad. No, Johnny Hendricks hit hard.
Yeah, so I think we'll still see a pretty quality fighter out of TJ. But I guess it's been a long time. 2 years is a long time to not be in the cage, so it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to see what's next, and but before that, we got to see this title fight and see who they book him against. So it'll be exciting. So, so that's kind of recaps that card. Not much else really of consequence to discuss from that one.
We could touch on Clay Guida getting a win in 2021.
We could. I was going to. I was. Clay Guida's cool.
It should be touched on. 39 years old. Like at least one old dude got a win. In 2021. Yeah,
that's fair. I loved it how he said he did say in his post interview he plans on making waves for a long, long time.
A long time. He's 39 going on 40.
The Carpenter getting it done.
Also, Beneil Dariush 6-fight win streak. He looks good again, man.
Yeah,
that does. He's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I hope he gets a big fight next.
What is he, Ben?
Huh? He's a good dude. More importantly, he's a good dude. He does charity work. He's just a family man.
How did Clay Guida not get a good dude endorsement? Like you're gonna say he's not a good guy?
Oh no, Clay Guida's a good dude.
I'm just waiting for the time that you go the complete opposite and just like when someone is not a good dude, like what we call him. So I can't wait. So we'll get into UFC 258 in a minute, but before that, you guys know I love to talk about Bellator. So let's go ahead and get into this light heavyweight tournament. So Ben, why don't you lay some participants on us and tell us why we should be excited to watch this tournament? So
okay, so they're doing an 8-man light heavyweight tournament. They signed Yoel Romero, Rumble Johnson, 2 absolute savage killers that are going to be in the tournament. Ryan Bader is going to be in the tournament. Former double champion of Bellator. Phil Davis, bum. Who else? Gegard Mousasi. I'm kidding. Phil Davis is a good fighter. He's just boring as hell. Gegard Mousasi also, awesome fighter. He also can be boring at times, but he's mostly awesome. But that's going to be a great tournament. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and also, did you mention Corey Anderson is in there?
Oh, yeah.
And they haven't said yet. I don't think they've announced all the participants, but like, doesn't Nemkov have to be in there, the champion? Like, wouldn't you think he'd be in there as well if they're doing the whole tournament?
Is he light heavyweight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then, right?
Yeah. So I would think he'd
I
be
don't think he has to be. I think the tournament, I know they've done it like that in the past, but the tournament, could be like the winner fights Nemkov.
That's so long though, because it's not like
long
Pride style. I mean, Bellator tournaments last, it seems like 2 years. Like
they do.
Yeah.
They drag those boys out.
He should be in there.
Yeah.
But either way,
that's a tough road to be a champion and have to enter a tournament just to keep your belt.
That is messed up against like Romero, Rumble. Like,
I mean, you're still taking fights like on the same time frame. So I mean, I think he should be in there. I love that idea though of the tournament. I mean,
I do too. I love tournaments. So
yeah, and their light heavyweight division is like pretty legit now with those signings. They have a pretty good light heavyweight division.
That'll be
you
fun.
can debatably say they have the best light heavyweight division when you put it that way.
Nah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they got maybe the depth. I don't know about at the top. Like,
you could say, like, I'm not saying they have the top, but like when you look at the depth of UFC's light heavyweight division, like they had to bring in a guy from another division to fight for the title because they don't have any contenders.
Yeah, they didn't have to.
No,
Adesanya freaking.
Yeah, he wanted it. Yeah,
right. But below Jan and Reyes, like who do they got?
Glover.
Freaking Glover.
That's fair. That's fair.
Glover's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak. He's
that's true. And again, I support those old dudes, but like, when Glover is your number 3 light heavyweight.
Yeah, it's not looking good. She's a I don't know. Glover's the man. I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth Glover.
Give Bellator some love, all right? Like that's
they do got a good lightweight heavyweight division.
Give them.
With the exception of Phil Davis, they have a good light heavyweight division.
That dude is super effective, though. He doesn't always set the fans on fire, but he definitely is effective. So
never has he set the fans on fire. So
I guess it's hard to say because there could be 1 or 2 slots that haven't been announced, but early picks, who do you guys got winning that tournament?
That's tough.
I think I will take Rumble.
I'm going with Rumble too.
Anyway, motivated. He should be able to destroy those dudes. But he just makes me nervous as well because he seems like I've seen him go in there and take a payday before, and it seems like just quit on fights. So
DC come to mind?
Yeah, anybody that like shows me that kind of heart, I'll forever question. So I hope he's really motivated and juiced up like a maniac.
Or Nemkov if he's in it.
Yeah. Well, obviously Nemkov has to be the favorite, but I think Rumble's a tricky pick because he really struggles with wrestlers, and we were just talking about Phil Davis, and then you've got some other, you've got Corey Anderson in that tournament.
Bader.
Yeah. And so like I don't see that there's no way Rumble avoids fighting all those guys. So
I think they'll have the wrestlers on one side, the fan favorite like strikers on the other. That way you get a fan favorite versus a wrestler, and hopefully the fan favorite wins. That's their mindset, I think. But they'll find some way to screw it up. Bellator knows how to screw things up. Just
come on.
Yeah. An awesome fight on paper. They find some way to just make it trash. Some groin shot ends it or something.
You can't like control that. That's
no, you can't.
That's bad luck.
It's just weird how much bad luck Bellator has. It's just strange.
That is true. So I got to pick Romero just because I've been such a fan for such a long time, and he just is so explosive. So again, if Nemkov is in the tournament, like I'll probably have to change my pick because that dude's a killer. But obviously Romero is the man, and it would be great to see him crush some dudes. And then obviously for the post-fight interviews is really what that's all about.
Yeah. He gives some amazing ones.
He does. He's an interesting character. So he might have CTE. He says some crazy things like nothing will ever top after he smoked Rockhold and he's like repeatedly kissing him and then just saying things that literally just don't make sense.
Yeah.
That was possibly more entertaining than that fight, but it'll be exciting to see. So we'll definitely report back as that tournament starts and we'll see how it goes. So, well, I guess there's no more putting it off, guys. Got to talk about UFC 258. Hard to believe they're charging us money to watch this event.
Yeah.
But they are. So I chalk it up as a business expense. It's what we're going to have to do. Claiming it on my taxes. No way I'm not getting a refund for this, but let's get into it without further ado. Main event. Couple of killers in the main event, whether they're entertaining or not, is certainly up for debate, but we got Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. I'll throw this one to you first, Ben. How do you see that fight playing out, and give me some thoughts?
I think short. I'm going to put it short. Like I think Kamaru gets it done. Wrestling, his wrestling is just that much better than everyone in the division. We haven't seen a weakness in his game yet. I mean, it's in his striking. But no one's able to prevent the takedown or. Well, Colby, he actually banged with. He stood on the feet, but Colby's also a wrestler. So But I don't think Gilbert has anything for him. What's Gilbert going to do? I mean, Gilbert's striking is, I would say it's better than Usman, but I don't think he's going to be able to stop the takedown. So Gilbert's looked good his past 4 fights. He's on a 4-fight win streak, but Kamaru's on like a 12-fight win streak or even more. I don't even know. He hasn't lost in the UFC. He's only lost once in his pro career. I'm taking Usman. I think people I see a lot of people on like Twitter and stuff picking Burns, and I think people just forgot how good Usman is. Like Usman is a dominant champion, and he hasn't shown any weakness yet. So I'm going to take Usman by decision. I think Burns lasts the full 5. I think he puts up a good fight, but I think Usman by decision. Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking Usman as well. I just don't see anywhere where Burns is better. I think Usman's better in every way. He's got the championship pedigree. He's been in many championship fights now. He's fought better competition. He's been in the UFC since 2015. We've never seen him lose. And like, I can't really remember seeing him in danger. Like he had a couple rough spots in the Covington fight, but like never really was going to be stopped. He's just a very dominant champion. I don't see how Burns gets it done. I wish like I could speak to some of the people like at their school where they train together all the time, because like they would be able to tell you exactly who's going to win. You know, like
that's true.
I seen DC saying like they already know who's going to win. He said like, you know, when Rashad and Jones like fought each other and like they had trained together for years, they knew. Like Rashad knew Jones he had no chance against Jones. And like DC even said like, I knew like if I ever fought Kane, I couldn't beat him. Like he said Kane would have beat me. Like, so like when they train together all the time, they already know. I wish I could speak to one of them and like get a definitive answer. I'd wager everything on it, because they've seen everything the other one has. I think, but I think Usman's just better, you know?
Yeah. I think Burns has just been really impressive in his last few fights. And I think he's real attractive because he's a 3-1 underdog. And I think, you know, like, again, I think you're, you know, when people don't have like super flashy wins, people equate that to not being dominant. I think they, you know, Ben, you said it, they don't realize how dominant Kamaru Usman is because he's not out there. You don't see him on highlight reels. He just quietly comes in and does his thing and goes home. You know, like, and people typically don't get super excited about those type of fights and those type of champions. So, but he'd be awfully hard to bet against. So unless, like you said, you've got the inside info and someone from camp tells you that that's the move. So if one of you guys gets that info, give me a call.
So I'm saying like, maybe they know like Burns schooled him in practice, like daily, you know, who knows?
I feel like if all of them from the camp knew somehow if we see a massive swing in the odds, we'll know that someone from the camp talked.
Yeah. 2-1 favorite Burns.
Yeah. We're like, wait a minute. What don't we know?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll go to the co-main event. Kind of an interesting fight. 2 fighters who got some hype and, you know, kind of have quieted down. We've got Alexa Grasso and Macy Barber coming back. I believe it's her first fight back from that wicked knee injury she had. So how do you guys see this one playing out? What do you expect from this fight? Russ, we'll go to you first.
Well, let me just say, like, you putting this as the co-main event is just complete trash. Like,
rough.
I mean, only a true degenerate fight fan is ordering this freaking card. Like Macy Barber against Alexi Grasso in the co-main event. Like the only reason it's the co-main event is because the UFC wants Macy Barber to be like a star. She's only 22 years old and she's got, you know, some charisma, but you know, she lost to Roxanne. So like, I can't put a lot of stock into her.
Right.
Alexa Grasso has good wins, but she's lost to like, whenever she fought like elite girls like Tatiana and Esparza. So I really don't know who to pick in it. I'm rooting for Macy because she's only 22 and I'd like to see her, you know, ascend up a little bit better. Maybe be a new contender at 115. I don't know. Mm-hmm. She's super young. We'll see.
I'm going to disagree with you there, Russ. I'm going to go with Alexa Grasso. I think she's got better boxing. And that's how Roxy beat Macy, right? On the feet. She pieced her up on the feet. And Grasso's
in fairness, she was hurt pretty early in that fight. So
No, she wasn't.
I didn't say I'm picking Macy to win. I just said I hope she does, just because she has more potential at 22. I'm insulted this is even a fight we're talking about.
I know.
Well,
I know, but
I'm insulted we have to review this entire card, but such is life. So
all right, I'll keep it short. I got Grasso by she's gonna piece her up on the feet because she's got better boxing than Roxy, and Roxy pieced Macy up on the feet. So I know you shouldn't go by that, but that's what I'm going by. And plus, I just don't like Macy Barber. She's highly unlikable. So
I was going to mention that. I was like, Ben's going to bet against Macy Barber every fight in the rest of her career. So.
Highly unlikable lady. So I'm going to go with Alexa Grasso. Phil, what you think?
I am not nearly as against either one of these as you guys are. I do think it's a little premature to put them in the co-main event, but I think that they are both of these people, you know, they've put both of them in pretty high profile situations because I think they want to move them closer to those main events, because I think like the main event scene, both at 115 and 125 are pretty light. And I know that they've already discussed, you know, Macy Barber, because 115 is pretty low for her to go. So, you know, the tops of those divisions are pretty thin, and I'm sure they want one or both of these girls to materialize as main event contenders. I think it's probably too early to say that either one of them is going to. I did think it was interesting that Grasso is actually favored in this fight. You know, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting, because before that Roxanne fight, Macy Barber put a beating on everybody she fought. But again, who did she fight? So be interesting to see how this one turns out. So hopefully it's an entertaining fight. So I don't have any personal vendetta against either one of them. I don't know, but I get it. There's some fighters that are just unlikable people. So
yeah, I have no ill will toward either of them.
Ben does.
Yeah, my only problem is that they're in the frickin' co-main event of a pay-per-view. That's outrageous. Do better, UFC.
When you have 50 cards a year, they get pretty thin.
You got enough fighters. Do better than that.
Very thin pay-per-view. This should be a fight night. Like,
should be a contender series. Like,
yeah.
Agreed. That's rough. And then one other fight of note is, you know, we've got Kelvin Gastelum fighting Ian Heinisch. So this one should be an interesting one. So I will turn this over. Ben, you can go first. What do you got?
It's a big step up for Heinisch in competition. I don't think he's fought anyone as good as Kelvin. He's fought like Derek Brunson. That was probably his best fighter he's fought. I think Kelvin gets it done. I don't know how. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but Kelvin's on a 3-fight loss streak. He's fought like Izzy, and then he fought Hermanson and Till. He fought the best of the best, and I think Heinisch is a bit lower in that tier of competition. So I think Kelvin gets it done. Probably on the feet. That's where Kelvin likes to get it done lately. That's where he likes to fight lately. So I'm gonna say Kelvin gets it done I'm going to say he finishes it. Second round. Kelvin finish second round. Russ, what do you think?
I really want to like Kelvin. Like, he had like one of the best fights of the year against Izzy and was like a punch away from winning the interim title. And since then he's lost 2, but like, he's just, I don't know, like reckless with his diet. And I just cannot trust him. Like after having that war with Adesanya, he goes out there and loses to Till and Hermanson. Like, one of them he lost like super quick. I think it was Hermanson, wasn't it?
Hermanson subbed him in under a minute.
Yeah, under a minute. There's just no excuse for that. So I can't get behind him now. I'm rooting for Heinisch, I think, to win, just because he's got more upside at this point. Gastelum, I don't know I don't know if he's just doesn't take his career seriously enough or what it is, but he seems like he has all the potential to be like elite. And I really have felt like for the past 5 years, he should be fighting at 170, but you know, he's a thick middleweight even. So
he refuses to go on a diet. So you're absolutely right. And I'm going to use Ben's words against him, not from this fight. I feel like Heinisch is on the way up. Gastelum is on the way down. You know, Heinisch, I felt that way the last couple of times. I thought Heinisch was moving up and maybe out of his league, and he's continued to be impressive. I think his wrestling is really good, and I think that he's going to pull it off by decision. I think he's going to control the fight. I think he's going to push Gastelum around. I think Gastelum's going to get tired, and he's going to win a probably potentially not super entertaining fight by decision.
Shame, because we need some entertaining fights on this card.
You're not going to get him.
It ain't happening.
Wow.
I hope I'm wrong. But speaking of that, the one fight that I was legitimately looking forward to on this fight, the Pedro Munoz Jimmy Rivera fight, Ben's a heartbreaker and informed me just before we started recording that fight is canceled. That was going to be the sleeper fight on this card. I was excited, and now it's gone.
You know who is on this card who's like not many people know about her, but she's like an up-and-comer. I think she's going to have a bright future. Is Miranda Maverick. She looked really good in her last fight, and she's fighting Jillian Robertson, I think, on the prelims. So
100% that's a gimmick name. No one is named Miranda Maverick.
No, that's her name. That's her Miranda Maverick.
That's a gimmick name. That's 100%.
That's a bright future right there, just by that name alone.
Yeah, that's her real name, like Shogun is a real name. Get out of here with that. The last name is Maverick.
That's funny. Man.
That is madness. Well, I'm not super up on that, so I'll keep an eye out for that when we watch. We've got it on tape, so if she delivers, Ben can hype it up on next week's show. And if not, he'll just edit it out and we'll move forward like it never happened. So good stuff. Well, anything else you guys want to touch on this card before we'll turn it over to Russ to let the people know that you got to sit through this card. At least you should make some money. So,
well, we got a real problem because 2 of my best bets were on that Rivera fight. Like I had freaking.
You don't have to tell us what you had because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I had Munoz winning and I had Munoz by decision. That was 2 of my 3. So like,
and you even had it by decision. So you're even predicting
That's what I'm saying. 2 of my 3 were on that fight. So it's like now I have 1, and who knows if that fight will happen because my best bet last week, my only one, canceled. So we're having best bet issues right now.
Yeah. So you don't have any this week, or you're not giving any this week?
I've got one. I'm gonna give Bobby Green against Jim Miller by decision. It's -120.
I cannot believe that you just said there's going to be a Bobby Green Jim Miller fight.
I mean,
it's a good fight.
I'd pretty much bet my house that it's going to decision. You just got to be on the right side at that point. You know what I mean? So like,
true.
Yeah, I'm going Bobby Green by decision -120.
I like Jim Miller, so
Same.
I don't want to say anything bad about him. He's been kind of on a rough patch in his career. You know, kind of like that.
How dare you?
Kind of like that Frankie level where he's been finished a few times and a couple of times probably by dudes who shouldn't have been finished him. You want to talk about unlikable fighters, man. Bobby Green. That is an annoying mother effer, man. Like, so I hope Jim Miller gets it done. I truthfully am probably going to like cook dinner when that fight's on or something. I do not want to see that. Man.
I might go and rewatch like Knucklemania from last weekend instead of the UFC card.
Yeah.
Like that's
I forgot Russ actually watched Knucklemania. Like I was shocked.
It was actually pretty fun. It was a pretty fun
Was it?
event. Like, yeah, that sport is insane, really, because it's not like MMA.
There's some pretty violent knockouts because they put some people in there that just straight up don't know how to fight.
PVZ lost.
Oh yeah, she did. You can't do defense because like there's no gloves to speak of whatsoever. So they just go in there and slug it out till one of them drops. It's pretty funny actually. And like
I catch some of the I didn't catch it live, but I catch quite a few of the highlights, and I've seen quite a few some pretty wicked ass whippings in there. So it's it definitely gets entertaining. I saw Lieben put someone to sleep.
Yes, that was the best part of the whole card. Like he finished his career with a violent KO on that dude with that amazing mullet.
That's cool, man. It's good to see
maybe Reem
on
can
top.
go there and KO some freaking schlub and then go out on.
Oh hell yeah, he could.
Oh, someone will turn to blood mist if Reem hits him. No.
That's
gloves.
what I want to. That's what I want to see. Especially
like scary movie.
They're not testing, so Reem should go get all Overeem 3.0'd up and blood mist dudes and bare knuckle.
Oh, someone's
they are not testing. They had a heavyweight in there that was like juiced up, man.
I like it.
Oh my god, that is scary, man.
Yeah, let's start reporting more on Knucklemania then.
Speaking of juiced up, I forgot to mention another fighter on UFC. What is it? 259, 8 or 9?
258.
Rodolfo Vieira, that Brazilian middleweight, crazy good on the ground. He looked real good in his last fight. I think it was like in 2019 though. This guy is scary looking. He's so juiced up, it's crazy. Watch out for that guy. He's like
a super jiu-jitsu champion. Like they said, like I think he's like a -400 favorite because if it goes to the ground, they said just the submission is 100%. Like
that's it.
Yeah.
Look at the size of this guy. This guy is like crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of him. He's pretty large.
Big boy for middleweight. But I just wanted to point that out too. And then Bilal Muhammad's also on the card. There's some names on there. Bilal Muhammad's a good fighter, man.
Yippee against Diego Lima. What an exciting fight.
Yeah. You should have stretched to sell this card at the beginning. If you're going to try to sell it, you should have tried this 15 minutes ago after we buried this card for 15 minutes.
That's true.
We're saving it now. So
it's true.
So cool. So Russ had one best bet.
That's it. That's all. That's all tough for this week. It's a tough card. Like, I mean,
I'm gonna help Russ out this week. Take Ian Heinisch. He's -1. He's -1, or he's plus 185.
Ooh, almost 2-to-1 dog. Okay, you got one.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. So there's your keeper right there. And then I don't have the odds, but I might even take him by decision and kind of juice that action up a little more. So
yeah, that's not bad because Kelvin's tough to finish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
usually
that's what I'm going with. So cool. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we close this beast out?
Big congrats to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady on Super Bowl number 7. This is a very exciting week here.
Ben, can you please just edit this out?
Hey, that's his boy. You can. It's been his boy for years. Let him have his moment here.
This is an MMA show.
Hey, he went to the state I should be living in right now. Sick of this crappy cold state. Sort of celebrating with the champions.
I'm not excited. I was checking the weather, and I have scheduled to work outside on Saturday, and it's going to be -4.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah.
Dang, we should have waited for that run, man.
Yeah, I know. Like Russ actually got it in at a good time because it was cold, but then
25 degrees warmer than it's going to be.
The real cold came much not long after, so your timing was pretty good.
That's all right.
All things considered. Cool. Well, with that being said, let's close it out. I don't blame you guys for not joining us next week because we're going to be recapping this card that we just spent half of the show burying. My sincere, condolences if you suffer through this card with us. Come back and join us next week. We'll talk about it.
It gets better. 259 is loaded.
Yes.
Very soon we'll be talking about it, But I'll leave us with a quote from Beavis and Butthead. If you don't have stuff that sucks, how would you know what's cool?
That's right. That's a good one.
This card is to remind us what a good card looks like. But with that being said, I appreciate you gentlemen reviewing with me. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good week, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching. See you guys next week.